you have worked for women in mathematics or in sciences more generally for many years now. You have been very much involved, giving talks and working and for them and trying to find positions for them. So I was a university research fellow when I finished my postdoc at the IHES, and then just after that I was nominated on a committee at NSERC. NSERC is the Canadian equivalent of NSF, and to be member of the selection committee of the first committee that would allocate women faculty awards to have a tenure track position in a given university. Mm-hmm. So this was reserved to women. So 20 years later, NSERC made a complete review of that program and came to the conclusion that that program was a failure. That is, it had not changed the structure of or the number of women in mathematics. However, I strongly believe that the most powerful action to be taken, and actually you raised that point earlier in this interview, is to change the civil way of living, that is a society, that is to have paternity leaves, not only maternity leaves, to have to share the task, changing diapers and so on. Mm-hmm. So once this is done, I mean, most of the primacy rule is solved more or less, I think. So what do you really think that in 2012, mathematical institutes or departments or associations should still have the same kind of affirmative action as before?
Society has to change, but that's very slow, and certainly in America there isn't much support for paternity leaves. I mean, we don't even get maternity leaves. I mean, there's no support in society for organizing that kind of thing. I think
we have in Canada. We have.
Yeah, I mean, it's better in Europe, but you certainly, I think, in the States, that's no go. I mean, you can certainly work towards making childcare more accessible and more affordable, and that helps somehow. Actually, I think there's still quite a bit of prejudice against women in mathematics. I still think there's still that women feel unwelcome, and that their achievements are. I mean, I think they're viewed a little differently. I think women are always questioned. You know, are they any good? And do they meet, are they good enough somehow? For me personally, I think that going to MIT, which I only did because it was an affirmative action line, was enormously important. And I think there are ways that you can promote women that are helpful. I don't know how that program was evaluated in Canada, but certainly in the States, there are many more women now in mathematics than there were. And the women are much more visible. Actually, a lot of those women are women, interestingly, who've come from Europe or other places and have built a career in the States, partly because, you see, one thing that I think that holds women back is their own expectations of what they should do, as well as what they think other people think they should do. And if you come from Turkey to America, you don't understand all the things that American society is saying you should do.
The subtext.
The subtext. You're not aware of those, and you're free from all the things that your own society is telling you should do. So you're free to build something. Mm-hmm. So I think I think there's a huge amount of unacknowledged thoughts about what women should be. When I was growing up, it was thought intrinsically unfeminine to do mathematics. So if you were, people made eyes at me anyway because I was called Dusa after Medusa, and they said, well, you can't turn us to stone. If I say I was a mathematician as well, that would be equivalent, mm-hmm. right? Mm-hmm. I mean, women, you couldn't be a woman and do mathematics. I don't think that kind of attitude dies away immediately. People saying it's ridiculous, I think it's actually mm-hmm. quite prevalent. I think that women have to overcome that. Mm-hmm. And the only way to do that is to have more women and different kinds of women. And so I don't really know that many young women well enough to know exactly how they experience being a woman mathematician. But I still think it's very hard. Partly for the reason that it doesn't fit together with having a family and because it is genuinely hard to have young children and do mathematics, because you're thinking about such different things. Mm-hmm. It's hard if you're doing mathematics to take time off. It's hard to take a year off mm-hmm. and come back mm-hmm. really focused. I think it's hard, and the fact is there really aren't all that many young women, and it makes a huge difference when there are more. So I think, for example, at MSRI, there was a program I was involved with recently, and we made, if we hadn't made an effort, there would have been rather few people there, women there. But we did make an effort, and we got a wonderful group of young women there. And so when you were in the halls, there were not, I mean, it wasn't 50%, it was like 15 or possibly 20%. I mean, a small percentage, but enough so that you saw young women. It was enough to make it seem as though there was no issue. And I know a graduate student from Columbia who went there and said, well, you know, when I was at MSRI, it was wonderful. There was no issue. Now I'm back in Columbia, I feel isolated again because there really are rather few women mathematicians at Columbia. And I think the numbers make a difference. And I think you have to be very careful how you do these programs. So some programs can have a backlash and can misfire. But when well done, I think it does make a difference. And that it's still important to try, because I think there's a lot of mathematical talent in women that's just not perceived. Sure. You know, women, for one thing, they choose to do other things. But
medical.
They also don't feel welcome. They don't feel attracted to, they don't think of mathematics as a welcoming place for them. And actually, for me, you know, one of the advantages of being a mathematician is you don't have a lab. So if you've got a young kid, you actually have very few hours in the day. You have to do something. You know, you can be very, very flexible, which makes it much easier to combine things.